going on, guys? Young46. I wanted to talk a little bit about punches, flops, and pitches. So I play with a lot of guys, and I see some of the newer people, maybe less experienced, who don't use a punch. They're short games, not the greatest. And I think, maybe some hints and advice can lower those scores a lot. So the first one I'll talk about is a punch. To me, a punch is probably my favorite shot in this game, next to maybe a pitch. I like a pitch a lot too, but a punch is great to control the spin. If you use Nike balls, it's great. Even Calis. This wedge has a lot of spin, so I usually don't put much backspin on it unless I'm maybe under 35 yards or something like that with a punch. But in this case, we've got 43 yards to the pin. I'm just going to hit a punch with no spin. So it's just a neutral little punch here, probably somewhere around there, and it should just hit and die. Might take maybe one hop, but probably not. So just one little tiny hop and died. It's a great shot, and it's one of the most consistent you'll see. So I can hit this shot again, and it's always going to end up, right around that same distance there. So even closer that time. But as you can see, it's a great shot. Same way that I talked about charting your club. Same thing with your punch. Just sit there and hit punches and just chart. Okay, what's a full punch go? What is 3/4, 75%, 90? Just keep messing around with it and until you get a good feel for what that punch distance is. If I want to know what 75% is going to go, just sit here and just hit those punches. Alright, so it goes about 30. 30 is my carry with no spin. Next one I'll talk about is a pitch. It's one of my favorite shots. Depending on your ball, if you have, I play the Nike 61s for this anyway. I use full backspin with it. With the 90s, I usually use about half backspin because it does bite so much. But full backspin with the 61s or the Calis, it's gonna release just a little bit, which is what you want. You're gonna look at it like a putt, and then just kind of judge where it's gonna land. Same type of thing. Just sit there and play around with it and find out what distance is what. Get a good feel for it. All right, so that was right on the money. Maybe just a little bit firmer there. I don't want to hit it again in case I hole it. So that would be your pitch. And again, just sit there and mess around with it. It's such a great shot. I'd probably hole almost one a day, it seems like, one pitch a day. Next one would be the flop shot. So with the flop shot, I don't use the flop shot a ton. There are some cases where maybe I do, but it's very, very rare. I prefer to pitch personally. Aiming, typically what I do is I will go essentially one aiming box out. So if we were to draw a line here, and then I just kind of mark that spot in my head. So that would be my aiming point. It's the same thing. I know with this club, a flop's going to go 18 with full backspin. So I want to hit this, probably somewhere around 82% or so. That's about 84, a little more than I said. So 82% was probably the number, but it's right there on point. Again, one aiming box over. Hit that flop again. Get it down to 82.5% here. So right there, and again, it's another consistent shot, and it's a very good one. The last one would be the chip. Chip, I'm not an overly huge fan of the chip. I know some people are. I can definitely hold them, but I would prefer to pitch the ball if possible. Let me get this a little further up. Okay, so this is good chip territory here. So this thing will go about 7 with it full. So I take a little off. And it's the same thing. You read it like a putt. Fortunately, my grid lines are jacked up, but I know it's pretty straight. Key is to ding it, which I didn't do, and I came up short. So you got to watch your uphill, downhill elevation with the chips. A lot of the better players use it. I think it's just all a matter of comfort and feel. So it's not bad, and you can roll it out just like a putt. Obviously, you only want to use that when you're right next to the green. But for me personally, even with an 8-yard, I would still hit a pitch in here. So for me, 8's going to be somewhere right about there.
You hit that one tight.
Yep, so just good to play around with it. I know another thing would be the rough. Obviously, you have to be careful in the rough because there is going to be a lot of release. Let me try to put one in here real quick. Okay, so 40-50 rough, dangerous stuff. Me personally, this is probably the moment where I do hit a flop. So here, and you got to think about your release. I'm thinking it's going to land here, and then it runs. So same exact stuff. You just want to play around with it. Find a good spot and just sit here and hit balls. It's not going to move as much because it's coming out of the rough. But for me, well, let's see. So 40-50 rough, flop. It's about 60% or so. That'll land 5 yards. And then you've got your release. So you just play around with it. Find out how much release you have on each shot. And just get out there and hit some balls and get some practice in. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. If you have any questions, as always, feel free to reach out to me.